Welcome to Spirits and Monsters of Old Seattle. Oh, gosh. Oh, sorry, I just woke up from the craziest dream. I was just taking a super quick power nap before we got started. Whew. I dreamt there was like a little tiny owl man who told me that I'd trespassed on his kingdom. Well, I'm sure that's nothing, and will definitely not come back up. So, we are jumping into a brand new mystery with our brave investigators. You have successfully overcome Skepsra. You have successfully negotiated with the Huera. And you've managed to uncurse the mayor. I mean, clearly, it's all smooth sailing from here, right?
Mm-hmm. Murder isn't a punishable offense in this time period, is it?
Ooh. It's illegal if they can catch you.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
I mean, they had the bullet holes when we found them, officer.
Listen, if they catch us, I mean, if they even go to investigate that place, they're going to find all the other dead bodies, which are all emaciated, and even if they're not full of holes, still.
No one would dare impugn the integrity of Dr. Carlos Young.
No one would be able to find Dr. Carlos Young.
Tomato, potato. That's fine.
Sofie unfortunately gave her real name.
Oh, that was a bad idea on your part.
Yep. Yep.
All right, dear listener, we are starting up a brand new mystery, which is called A Small Development. This is a very exciting one to me because I wrote and published this one. So if you happen to like it, feel free to swing on over to DriveThruRPG and maybe pick up a copy. There will be an affiliate link in our episode description. Now, without further ado, our three investigators had been celebrating after their previous successful mystery. You also had recently come back from the Axeman's Carnival and had made some rather suspect purchases from a dealer of questionable antiquities named Dr. Perriman. His doctorate credentials highly suspect. Julian had knowingly purchased some ether. Sofie had purchased a haunted doll. And Dr. Jensen had purchased Augie, the gold-sniffing dog. Phoenix, good news. Your ether is 100% just ether. It works exactly like you expect, and you can get real high off it.
I would never.
Someone could get real high off it.
Yeah.
Just for emergencies.
Yeah.
Hypothetically.
Aaron, after further investigation, Sofie ultimately discovers the doll is very creepy, but not actually haunted.
I mean, anticipated.
Does it not being haunted make it more or less endearing to Sofie? Was she really hoping for a haunted doll?
Less. Definitely less, yeah. I was hoping there's a little guy in there.
No. There's always next time. And Bill, I have some mixed news for you.
Oh?
Can I get from Dr. Jensen an agility test?
Oh boy. Off the bat? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's quick like a cat.
So that is... on 6 dice, that is 0 successes.
Before I tell you the effect of this roll, do you want to push that?
It's too early in the mystery to push a roll.
Are you sure?
Don't bully him, DM.
That is on my job description.
Do it.
No, I'm fine.
So, I unfortunately have some news for you.
Okay.
Augie, the gold-sniffing dog, has been very well trained to sneak away and return to Dr. Perriman after about 3 days.
Damn it.
So, despite your best efforts of chasing him around the yard when you realized he was heading out, that dog managed to slip through your fingers and get away.
Man, now we don't even have a dog.
Time out. Murder I can handle. Starvation I can handle. torture. You got rid of the goddamn dog, DM?
Yeah, that's lame. That's lame. It's lame. I'm sorry. It's lame.
Not okay.
Now, I do also want to stress, during the purchasing equipment phase of literally every mystery, y'all can just buy dogs.
I am now.
All right, so the three of you have fallen asleep in comfy chairs in the library's study. You've just finished the building of a brand new facility here in your headquarters, and you now officially have an infirmary, and in the process uncovered a cellar that you can use to store equipment. We'll get into what you guys have stored in there a little bit later on. However, you've spent the last few weeks helping to kind of keep the construction crews out of anything they shouldn't see, and also keeping them out of old Agda's hair, and making sure they don't go anywhere near her library. And the infirmary is officially done and well stocked. So, you are taking a brief celebratory meal on this hot Seattle summer night. And maybe it's the good company, maybe it's the rich food, maybe it's the couple of glasses of port that y'all shared, but y'all wind up falling asleep in these comfy plush chairs. And each of you has strange, vivid dreams this evening. Now, from a game mechanics perspective, each of these dreams will be used to put together an advantage that you will have in this mystery. Bill, would you be willing to tell us what Dr. Jensen dreams about?
Sure. Dr. Jensen has a familiar dream. When you've been to hell, it's perhaps little surprise that you revisit it almost every night. It's early May 1864 in Virginia. Nearby, the thick tangle of forest known as the Wilderness is the site of a deadly battle. The forces of the Union and the Confederacy struggled back and forth, neither gaining or losing much ground, and mostly spilling blood for the sake of spilling blood. Lucius has set up a triage close to the battlefield. Being further out would be safer, but the soldiers are barely able to pull the men out as it is. Transporting them miles away, simply impossible. Too many would be lost along the way. Smoke wafts through the surgery as the entire forest burns from the sparks of guns and burning cannonballs. Men fight and die amongst the burning trees and smoke, their wounded comrades laying unseen only a dozen feet away. Dr. Jensen finishes his work, wiping a blood-stained hand across his forehead. There's nothing else that can be done, but he's confident that the cavalry captain will live. He may not ride again, but he'll live. Jensen puts the saw in the bucket of water treated with different oils. Maybe these might work to prevent some infection. Haven't tried this particular combination of dosage yet. He begins scrubbing his hands when he hears them, the thunderous hooves of cavalry and the ringing shots of rifled muskets. The few soldiers able to stand try and take up arms, but a ringing voice from outside the tent calls to surrender, or they'll be shot where you stand. Lucius picks up his flask, and now with a clean hand, takes a long pull from it. The nightmare washes out after that, just like it always does.
All right, and Bill, what advantage is Dr. Jensen going to gain during this mystery?
I think he is going to be gaining a kind of cool under fire, I guess, is the best way to describe it.
I like it.
Being able to handle and think clearly in more tense situations.
Perfect. Feel free to add cool under fire to your advantages.
All right.
Aaron, would you tell us about Sofie's dream?
Yes. Outside of research, Sofie has a few hobbies, including caseculture, or the art of cheese making. I probably pronounced that wrong. Thorn and old Agda have long enjoyed the interesting culinary experiments that she's brought their way. In her dream, Sofie is in her kitchen, reaching up and taking down a few cheesecloth bags which were drying out. She's been trying out a new idea of making a wine-veined cheese and is curious to see the results. As she pulls open the bags, the cheese blocks have a strange and curious look to them. The veins of deep violet wine look almost like blood, and form sharp angles and distinct curves. As she stares, looking closer at them, they seem at once foreign and familiar. She cuts into one of the blocks of cheese, and inside are perfectly formed runes she has seen dozens of times. The cheese must not have set properly, as the wine begins to leak out of the side of the cheese block like blood from a wound. It slithers across her kitchen counter, forming runic letters she feels like she can almost, but not quite, decipher.
And what advantage is Sofie going to gain?
I would like to do something where she sort of is looking, at some point, if she's looking for a clue, or she's investigating, or she's trying to learn something, that the memory of the runes will sort of like flash in front of her eyes and like overlay onto whatever she's looking at, and all of a sudden it'll like reveal the answer, like, you know.
So maybe an advantage like Secret of the Runes.
Yes, yeah, that sounds good.
Loving it. And Phoenix, do you want to share what Julian dreams about?
Boy, do I. Versailles is crying. There is not a single dry eye in the palace as Julian sets down his fiddle. At the end of each of his sets, there has been a thunderous eruption of applause. And as he finishes the last chords on Beautiful Moon, Thou Queen of Night, he slowly moves to the grand piano, takes a seat, and the singer joins him on stage. But I can't hear her voice. Slowly, the sounds of the audience and the piano fade away until it's just deafening silence. The singer turns to me, and I can't see her face. There's just a curtain of red hair covering all of her features. She speaks, and this time, her voice is all I can hear. Julian, you need to remember. The dream flickers, and Julian sees his hands on the piano, covered in blood. Need to... It flickers again. I look up to see my reflection in the glass window pane, the sight of the witch cackling over my shoulder. Remember. Suddenly the witch's face twists and distorts. I can't quite see it, but it's not the witch I remember. This isn't an old crone, it's a middle-aged man. His features twist and shift in the leaded glass. I see a beard, blonde hair, and cruel, judgmental eyes. Goodbye, Julian. I see a rose left on the piano as the last notes of the song slip from my mind and fade away.
Listener, you can't see how high Aaron's eyebrows went up during this, but it was amazing.
Okay, that was a really cool... The dream vibe was really awesome, and Phoenix's delivery was also really awesome, so yeah.
And Phoenix, what advantage is Julian going to gain for this mystery?
Yeah. Looking down, he sees the rose from his dream, and I pick it up, and it's actually a silk rose. So as I look down at this rose and kind of hold on to it, I just think back to that curtain of red hair, and all I can think is, I'll make you proud.
Fantastic. All right. You have each had some strange, intense dreams. But there's one more dream that you have just before waking up. It's the dream that's perhaps the strangest of the entire night. You see a creature, maybe some kind of strange Vasen, that looks like both an owl and a human, with angry, furrowed brows of feathers. He speaks in a high-pitched voice and says,
"You have trespassed upon my kingdom, and your insolence shall not be tolerated any longer. We shall see you brought to the court, and we shall render our judgment."
And as those words kind of fade away, you each begin to wake up. But something's off. Something's not right you must be struggling as your brain catches up. Maybe it's the port, maybe it was the heat, but you're not in a reclining chair. You're in what must be an enormous bed. And you look out, and you're able to see across the room a huge chair. Easily, it must be 40, 50 feet tall. And then you look to the left, you look to the right, and see the enormous arms of the chair that you're in. You look behind you, and you see the gigantic back of the chair rising up, up, up. And you realize you're not in some enormous strange bed. You're tiny. Each of you has awoken, shrunken down to the size of a mouse. What are y'all gonna do?
Quick clarification question.
Mm-hmm.
We are shrunk with our clothes down to the size of a mouse? Yep. Okay.
You have all of the equipment that you had when you went to sleep, and thankfully, you each went to sleep with your full kit, since you didn't get a chance to retire for the evening. Also, I know it's going to come up, Yortz is tiny.
But he's extra tiny, because if I'm mouse-sized, he's like, oh.
Well, now I object. I thought we were going to ride Yortz into battle.
Oh my god. That would be amazing.
We can still find Thorn.
If he didn't eat us first.
Yeah. The first thing I will do is look across and see if I can see my companions. I mean, I think it's immediately obvious that they're either not in their chairs or they are also tiny.
Mm-hmm. And as you get up, you kind of look around and you can see a very confused Dr. Jensen and a very confused looking Julian, both in their chairs as well.
Does it even seem possible that I could walk over to like Julian, or pardon me, Lucius's chair, or would this be like rappelling down a cliff?
You would have to scale down. Thankfully, the chairs that you're in have elaborate scroll work all over the legs. So you'd be able to kind of climb your way down fairly easily.
Yeah, I will. So I look over to Dr. Jensen and I look at myself, kind of look around. I'm going to start climbing down the chair and start climbing up his. When I get there, I just look over at him. Lucius? The moment you open your mouth, I slap you.
Okay. What was that for?
Are you dreaming?
I really, really wish I was.
Hit me. Slap me.
Oh no, you said hit me. He decks him.
Yep.
Now, are we talking like a full-on, like,
punch?
Punch.
Dr. Jensen just woke up from a crazy dream. He is really tiny. He doesn't know how the hell this happened. And watching Julian,
Julian climbs up and just slaps them right in the mouth.
No, like get up, walk over, climb down, presumably climb up, walk over, and before I can say anything, just smack. No, yeah, it's a punch.
Now, I'm just going to ask, is this a you want to make an attack roll kind of punch? Or just like a theatrical punch?
I'm defensive and combat trained at this point. Bring it on, Lucius.
This is more going to be
like just a storytelling kind of punch.
I want it to be just like the quick rabbit punch, like right back to the face. Just
All right. I'm going to say that since there is no intent to injure here, Julian, after you slapped him and said, "Are you awake?" Just bap right in the chin.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not dreaming either.
I will take out my flask, take a nip, and then I'll hand it to Julian.
I will do the same and hold it up for Sofie. Sofie, can you hear us over there? Are you dreaming? I don't think either of us is dreaming.
Would one of you like to come and try punching me? And she cocks her shotgun.
I immediately looked at Julian. You're up. No, I'm not doing it.
You're up.
I raise a perfectly groomed eyebrow to you, and are you out of your damn mind?
I'm joking, boys. I'm joking. And she puts it back. We seem to have encountered something which is quite common, but it's something I would have hoped couldn't happen here in the middle of the library. So
I'm sorry. Quite common.
well, common for us. We run into Vossen quite regularly.
Yeah, this one's a new one on me, Sophie. Can you elaborate?
Do I know anything about this? What's happening?
You have heard some stories of Vossen who might have the ability to shrink someone down. And you do know you've actually seen this happen before when it did occur to Julian when you met Dr. Jensen. The fairies briefly shrunk him down.
Oh, that's right.
However, that tended to be something that is very short term. You get the sense this is something much stronger than that.
Just out of the side of my mouth, I kind of quietly say to Dr. Jensen, I totally remembered that. Also, technically, that's my shotgun.
Dr. Jensen will just turn back to the last part. Are you going to tell her that?
Absolutely not. Are you out of your damn mind?
That's what I thought.
Now, speaking of a shotgun, is that the item that Sofie is going to be carrying forward into this mystery?
Yes. Yes. She has put her creepy doll into
the cellar?
It's in the cellar for right now.
Okay. And Bill, what item are you bringing forward into this mystery?
Well, I think Lucius will probably be holding onto the knuckle dusters for this mystery.
Good old punch Dr. Jensen.
Well, and in case we need to be more quiet than a gunshot.
So really, he was doing Julian a solid by not punching him with knuckle dusters there. And what is Julian carrying forward into this mystery?
Yes, Julian is never far from a lovely bottle of Dom. However, in this case, he has decided that, you know what, maybe it would be okay to bring something a little stronger this time too. So he's brought some liquor along.
Excellent. All right, so are the three of you climbing down the chairs and meeting up in the study?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. You need a hand climbing down there, Doc? I take that as a no, and I'll start climbing down.
His ears are clearly still ringing where they got slapped.
Can we look across and see? We were in the library, right? Or were we in a study?
In a study.
Okay.
So you're not in the central library itself.
So Agda or anybody else is not in the room?
Correct.
Okay. So Sofie will obviously check over Yorks and seeing that he seems to be fine, other than the fact that he's the size of a half a thimble.
Mm-hmm.
She will look over the side and, start trying to figure out how to get down. And of course, Yorks immediately just hops over and does that thing that stereotypical cat down the drapes kind
just
of a thing,
dragging the nails down,
slides down with the I hope Matthias doesn't see that. That's okay. I'll patch it up later. I don't know how Sophie's gonna get down. I mean,
it's relatively easy climbing. So this is something that basically there's enough kind of scroll work and swirls and patterns on these chair legs that you've basically got easy grips.
Okay.
So you can actually climb down without even making a check.
Cool. So I assume that we meet up at the foot of these skyscrapers, aka armchairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when we all reach the bottom and meet up, I look to Sofie. Now, clearly this has happened to me before, which I, of course, remember very clearly. Didn't it end pretty quickly, though? Why shouldn't we be, poof, back to... Isn't that how it works?
Normally, I think so, although there are perhaps more than one Vossen who could affect us in such a way. Did you all happen to have strange dream about a little owl person before you woke up?
By owl person you mean looked like a human with an owl head?
Yeah.
Said we've trespassed?
Trespassed.
Something about rendering judgment, but, I'm used to being judged. It's fine, but this probably isn't fine.
It seems we've angered some of the denizens of the area, although it could have been any of our encounters that caused this. I don't know which one at the moment specifically.
So I take it you didn't recognize the creature that appeared in front of us?
No, I haven't encountered that one before, either in person or in my readings.
Julian, the last time this happened, this was with those fairies, with the little farmer girl, right?
Yeah, where I first laid eyes upon the fabulous form of one Dr. Jensen. Yes, that's one.
Appreciated. So, can we assume this is like something to do with the fairies? Just some sort of fairy magic? I know you said we turn back normal relatively quickly.
My mouth kind of opens and closes a few times as I'm like, Sophie's the brains. What of it, Sophie?
I know you said that I know of a few Vossen who could have done this. Do any of those Vossen seem linked with anything else that we've recently run across or run afoul of, you might say?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm cross-referencing the two databases here.
Yep. It's possible it could be those fairies. Fairies are known to hold grudges, and you did evict them from their homes. But that owl-faced creature doesn't seem to match up with any fairy that you've ever heard of. Male fairies tend to be called elves, and look kind of like grumpy old men.
I don't think this is fairies, actually. That little creature didn't resemble any fairy I've ever read about. So perhaps this is something new, or I wonder if perhaps our excavations with the cellar could have disturbed something, or, I think that most of the library has been checked for Vossen or, termites or the like as well. So I wouldn't think it would have anything to do with that, but it's possible.
Do we need to go speak to old Agda to see if there's something?
Yes, if anyone would know, she would.
Well, I guess Dr. Jensen will look around the room. Is the doorway to this? Are we locked or like door closed in a room?
The door is currently ajar.
Well, wait a moment, Dr. Jensen. You forget that there's a dog in the library, and old Agda's hard of hearing. I'm not sure she could hear us no matter how loud we shouted to her in this form.
But you have a shotgun. Just fire it into the air. Couldn't she hear that?
I think Sofie is probably gonna walk up to the door and fire the shotgun, which to us sounds like, probably like a normal shotgun. Nobody comes because that just sounded like a little.
Yep. Is real small.
Okay, point taken.
Sophie, you're pretty wealthy, right?
I suppose you could say so.
All right. Do I see any glasses or china, something I could push off a table, taking some notes from Yort's?
He is inspirational.
Yeah, you had a couple glasses that were on that little end table. So you could definitely try and knock those over.
I will try to do so.
All right, Phoenix. Since you are now buff Julian, give me a force test.
I mean, I'm still buff, but
Are these maybe for show muscles and not for work muscles?
I mean, When you put it like that, yes.
Julian skips leg day.
Now, of course, Phoenix, I must ask, would you like to push this roll to push this glass?
You know what? Sure.
All right.
I will become exhausted. It was a lot of effort.
It turns out climbing up and down incredibly tall structures multiple times in a row is testing for even Julian's beefy arms.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the dice do still work. It took him a moment. That's 4 successes on 7 dice.
Oh,
Wow.
sake.
Wow.
All right. You know, it took you a little bit, but Julian is sure that he just needed a little bit of warm-up time. Get the muscles loose. Had to, limber up. And so, with a mighty heave, Julian really starts to dig in his heels. And he starts to push this glass that has a little bit of whiskey left in it. And sure enough, you push the glass off of the table. It crashes to the floor, spattering the last remnants of the whiskey at the bottom of it about the area.
And because I had so many extra successes, I am so inspired by my performance that I cure a physical condition.
What I'm going to do instead for you is, because you got so many successes, I'm going to give you an extra advantage for this mystery.
Ooh.
Not that you need it, Mr. 3 Advantages. However, I'm very delighted to give this. Julian gains the advantage Mighty Fuse.
As the glass crashes to the ground, I just put my hands on both hips, strike a little pose, and just under my breath, too quiet for either of you to hear, Mighty Fuse.
Julian climbs his way down, having heaved this mighty glass.
It did shatter, right?
It did shatter.
Okay.
That's a very good point.
There is a chance that someone might hear that. Are you going to hang around and wait? Or are you going to go exploring?
I think we should maybe give it a minute just to...
Yeah, I don't want to climb down from here again until we're sure that I don't need to push something else off.
Mm-hmm.
Even though my Mighty Fuse could totally handle it.
One of us at least needs to be quite visible if someone comes in, because it'll be difficult for us to catch their attention because we're quite small.
You wait around for a few minutes. After that, an enormous crash. Looking around, watching the door, waiting. There's no sign of anyone.
Is there a clock? Can we tell what time it is?
Yeah. You're able to spot a clock. It's probably about 7:30 in the morning at this point. This is also a very large house. And you have found that sound often does not carry well through it, given its weird layout.
Well, I suppose we should go and try to assess our situation.
Well, it's... You said it was close to 7:30 in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
It's really too early for anyone to be up.
Well, I mean, is there a kitchen in this facility? Maybe go down there, see if anyone's making breakfast. He'll look up to Julian and kind of yell, I think we're gonna go see if we can find someone. You want to come down?
Want to catch me?
No.
Okay. Long, heavy sigh as I... So I've gone down, up, and now down again here. So yeah, my arms are getting pretty tired.
It's a good thing you've been working out so much, so you feel very prepared for this.
It is a good thing.
It's a good thing you have had a pole installed in your room at the library.
I hadn't thought of that, but it makes sense.
I mean, it's a really good workout, so.
It 100% is, yeah.
All right, so the 3 of you are all back together, having broken a glass, and are ready to head out. But where are you going?
Whatever we think is the most likely to have someone awake in it at this time of day, I think, right?
I would imagine the kitchen, breakfast, coffee.
Makes sense, yeah.
Someone would be down there.
They usually have to get up way earlier than everybody else to start preparing things and start cooking stuff. Now,
is it going to make the most sense for all 3 of us to just go out there individually? Or if we were to form a sort of 3 investigators in a trench coat, we would be a little taller.
If only I had retained my normal size, I could have put both of you in my pockets. I have pockets that would be perfect for each of you, but unfortunately, my pockets are also quite small.
You have pockets that would be perfect for each of us. Dr. Lucius just raises like one eyebrow.
I nod along with this, thinking that it is completely reasonable and in character.
We have also established Sofie is very particular about her pockets. There are book pockets, there's a shotgun pocket, so clearly there is a little man's pocket.
You know, as someone who is concealing an entire wardrobe inside of a violin case, I'm really not going to be able to throw stones here.
Thank you. Meanwhile, Dr. Jensen's concealing an entire wine cabinet in his flask. So
it's not an entire wine cabinet. It's just a bottle or two in a flask.
He's carrying an entire distillery in his liver. Hello, dear listener. It's your host and game master, Brian. Whenever doing a long TTRPG campaign like our show, it can be important to add fun breaks and side stories like this one. It can't always be saving the world or ticking time bombs, you know? You need some fun one-shots sprinkled throughout, and I have a fantastic recommendation on where you can check out some cool one-shots for your own games. The podcast Game Master Monday airs a brand new one-shot every other week, across all sorts of different genres and titles, from small indies to Dungeons & Dragons. My favorite episode is probably when they ran The Witch is Dead, and everyone had to play as a witch's familiars. Here's their trailer. Give them a listen.
At last, I have reached the tallest peak in all the world, where the wisest person lives. Finally, I'll get the answers I seek.
Welcome. I am the wisest person in the world. Ask me your question.
What is my purpose in life? What should I be doing to achieve pure happiness?
You must stream Game Master Monday.
Come again.
Game Master Monday, the bi-weekly podcast that plays a new one-shot in a new system in a new setting with a new cast every episode. Listening to their funny jokes and wild stories is the only path to happiness, my child.
Sick! I'm going to go home and binge the whole thing right now.
What a nice kid. Oh dear, he fell off the mountain. Now they'll never know how good Game Master Monday is.
The three of you kind of head out and you're chatting, discussing like what your options might be, when you remember something. It briefly occurs that maybe you could try and speak to Matthias. And then you remember he actually is out of town today. He is in Seattle visiting with Dr. David Swinson Maynard and won't be back until tomorrow.
Well, shit.
Do we try and maybe see if we can find... Yeah, well, that just leaves old Agda and Jeremy, right?
That you know of who's here.
And
Well, there's also a
guard.
Your
guard at
guard.
the front door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Stefan.
Well, but that requires us to go get down the stairs and then somehow open the front door.
You also don't know whether or not he has the sight.
Ooh.
And it's possible someone without the sight might not be able to see you at the moment.
Just look over to Dr. Jensen. What did you do? Doesn't matter. We have a problem. Work the problem. I mean, Julian is just, I think we just walk out the door and see who we run into.
Agreed.
Brian,
Mhm.
I would like to formally request that you perhaps take pity on us a little faster than you did when we were in the escape room and we brainstormed for like an hour and a half of the session and we had no idea what to do. And then Thomas was just like, there's room across the way and we can get out on the balcony and then jump down. And we were all like, well, shit.
So, I will provide some thoughts for you by request.
Make it a multiple choice test, Brian. We're too stupid for this.
So you have a couple options ahead of you. You could always go to the library itself and see if you can do some research there on what could have done this.
Somehow getting gigantic books off of the shelf and then reading gigantic words and turning gigantic pages. That'll be real efficient.
Mighty thews.
You do also know there are a lot of books that get left out and on various like spinning racks. So you do have some options that are available to you.
Okay.
As Bill mentioned, you could also head into the kitchens. There's a good chance someone might be up and around, so that would be a pretty likely place to find people. You could also always try and just head for Jeremy's rooms and see if you can just find him there.
He's basically kind of like our assistant in the library, correct?
Yeah, he's a servant.
So he, at the very least, he could pick us up, take us to the actual library, and then go and get the books that we are trying to find, and that would at least help us. I think finding him would be
way faster, than us trying to do it alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
So why don't we go ahead, we'll walk out the door, we'll see who we run into. Maybe, just maybe we'll run into Jeremy. You know what? We should check his room. I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier.
That sounds like a great plan.
All right, so the way that traveling is going to work, you
boy.
need to choose one of the investigators who will make an investigation skill test. If you are successful, you get to your destination without a problem. If you fail, I have a table of random encounters.
Ooh, I like this.
And of course, if you want, you can always just choose to fail the roll and find out what you get on the table of random encounters.
I choose to fail the roll.
Yeah, me too.
I will roll for investigation.
Again, as a team, we are nominating one person to make the roll.
Not Dr. Jensen.
Damn it. That is not nominating a person, that is unnominating a person.
I believe in you, Dr. J. Believe in yourself.
Nominate yourself, Phoenix, and then I'll nominate you. And then you can fail it on purpose.
Mighty thews, not mighty noodle.
There is a joke here that I'm just going to let go. All right, so which of you is going to attempt to lead the team? Who is taking point?
I mean, if we actually want to succeed, then I can do it. If we don't want to succeed, I nominate Julian.
I like succeeding, so I guess I'm nominating Sofie.
I will throw this out there. Not all the random encounters are bad.
Screw it. I'm on it.
All right, go for it, Julian.
Taking point. Let's do this. This is investigation.
Mm-hmm.
If you add up the 3 dice together, that's 1 success.
But how many successes are on the dice?
That would be none. That's it. It's literally a 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Amazing. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say you don't want to push this roll, do you?
Not particularly.
Excellent. All right, so the 3 of you are walking along, and Julian has been to the library many times, so he knows his way around here.
I've been here a time or two.
However, it is a very different experience walking around here as a tiny creature. And it's a challenge getting from place to place. As you all are walking, passing through dark hallways and places that only have a, say, little glimmer of light from one window down the hall, you briefly hear something. From a very narrow crack in the wall,
Oh no.
you hear voices. Do you stop to listen?
Yeah.
I mean, I have too much class to listen at cracks in the walls, so I'll leave that to my.
I grew up in a brothel. I don't.
Also, I don't believe that about Julian.
That's so gauche.
Julian works in a brothel, so no, he doesn't hear.
So you briefly pause, hearing high-pitched voices. it almost sounds like they're whispering back and forth. And you catch just a little snippet of conversation. They say that the bastard prince is putting together a group to catch the transformed humans, and that he and his men will be bringing them before the king.
That doesn't sound encouraging. Sofie, have you heard anything about a bastard prince?
Have I?
That isn't anything you've run into before.
Listeners, just please take note that Brian does not seem to want me to roll my cat dice because I'm no longer rolling his curse dice. I just want that for the record to be noted. Thank you.
It's just not something you would have heard of. And I didn't want you to roll, get successes, and be like, you don't know shit.
Yeah. No, I'm just fucking with you. It's fine.
Unacceptable.
So I assume that that's what we gather after we stay like an appreciable amount of time and, try to wait for them to say something anything else that.
Yeah, the voices got a little bit quieter as they went, so it was almost like someone was walking along on the other side of that hallway, and then you caught those little details.
So my house in real life came preloaded with mice. And apparently the library came preloaded with tiny creatures who are trying to kill us. So that's fun.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Do you all press on? Or do you try and notify those voices that you're here?
Oh, no. Who's good at insight? Not the doctor. Probably not me. Julian?
What skill would that be?
Observation.
Could you tell if... All right, you know what? Could we tell if the voices were happy about this prospect, annoyed, angry, etc., etc.? What's the vibe? Vibe check.
You know what? Vibe check. All of you can make an observation check. And Aaron, roll them cat dice.
Yeah!
I think Aaron, not Sofie, just succeeded on a manipulation test.
I'm going to laugh when Bill crushes this roll.
Right?
With his, one die.
Yeah. I got no successes on a 7 dice. Then.
I, too, rolled 7 dice and got 2 successes.
Yeah, fuck you.
And Bill?
I rolled 2 dice. That total 6.
Again, that doesn't help in this game.
No successes.
Sofie and Dr. Jensen are listening to these voices, and they can't quite pick out a tone. You're just not sure. But Phoenix, Julian is able to tell. They sound pretty happy about this. They sound like they are looking forward to the humans being brought forward to the king.
They're rubbing their tiny little hands together.
Mm-hmm. You do also, since you got 2 successes, pick up on something else that's interesting. There's a little bit of scorn and a little bit of derision when they say the bastard prince.
So as you two are listening very intently at the crack in the wall there, I try to just ignore it and walk by and be classy. Eavesdropping typically costs extra. So I ignore it for a while, and then you guys are still there, and you're still there. Finally, just kind of literally throw up my hands and place my ear against the wall, hear what they're talking about, and let you guys know about it. Like, well, they seemed happy about that, but I don't know who this bastard prince is, but not fans. Seems like he's kind of I don't want to use the it's not polite.
Really?
Really? Dr. Jensen, if you've learned anything about me, you know how important etiquette is to me.
Fair enough.
I mouth over to Sofie. He bought it.
I heard that.
I'm right here.
I am beaming at you.
So, do we try and find out who's talking about us? Or do we try and find Jeremy?
Does it even look like the crack in the wall is large enough to actually fit through? Or it's, nothing like that?
No, it's pretty narrow. It's the kind of thing that probably would have gotten repaired at some point were it big enough to be able to see. But this is very thin.
Is there even line of sight through it?
Barely. It's very, very narrow. Basically like a little split in the baseboard. That was just because you're low enough, you were able to hear the sound of voices on the other side.
I mean, I have to ask, can I try to see through?
It is dark behind it. Do you have a light source?
I do not.
Then no. You did not bring forward a hurricane lantern this time.
Well, our safest bet is still probably to find Jeremy, but I don't know if you two want to try something different.
Well, I mean, Jeremy can try to help us fix this, but there is a part of me that's wondering if we don't just... I mean, we have a lead. That's what we do, right? We're investigators with mighty thews.
So, we need to go, what? Look for a mouse hole in the wall? Something?
See if we can find a way through, yeah, I guess. Or, try to... Would we know what room is on the other side of this that the voices would be?
You aren't sure, actually.
Okay.
With the layout of this place, it could be anything. It could be just a narrow space in between the two walls in another room. It could be a dead drop on the side of the building. It could be a room that you've never even been in before.
Could I use Yorts to try to sort of sniff out a path to not necessarily that specific spot, but to where these creatures are?
I would give you a bonus on your investigation test to navigate from place to place.
Yeah, Augie totally would have found it. So are we still at the top of the stairs? We haven't gone down yet?
I think we're in a hallway.
You've been in a hallway, you're kind of navigating your way along. Does the group kind of continue on towards Jeremy's room? Or are you changing direction?
I mean, Lucius would think we can just keep following the wall as we go towards, I guess, Jeremy's room, and continue searching just to see if we find another crack or something, a hole in the wall that we could maybe pass through. I figure we might as well just keep searching and go in the general direction of Jeremy at the same time. Might be the best of both worlds.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sounds good. You keep a weather eye out, but unfortunately don't see any more cracks. You spot a few little breaks in the baseboard, a few spots where plaster is chipped, and you kind of listen, but you don't catch any more sound of voices.
Can we tell at this point, it's pushing 8 o'clock. Some people, especially Jeremy, should be waking up by now. Staff usually has to be on the job by 7 or 8 o'clock. Can we hear in the house any normal sounds of crockery in the kitchen or people going up and down the stairs or anything like that?
It is pretty quiet still, much to your surprise. It's possible most of the other investigators could be out on assignments right now, and so maybe there just aren't many folks who are here at the moment.
Or everyone got turned tiny.
You are almost at Jeremy's room, except there is an obstacle that blocks your path. Unfortunately, Jeremy's door is closed. However, I do have some good news. It is partially ajar. You might be able just to pull it open if you had somebody who had enough strength and mighty muscles.
All right, Sofie. You've been waiting your whole life for this.
I got this.
Alternatively, you all could try and crawl under the door, although you will need to make agility tests for that. Or you could make a force test, which will require 2 successes to pull it open.
Can I lend my considerable weight to Julian as he... I mean, I probably... if you count all my books and my clothes, I probably weigh over 300 pounds right now.
You can give a +1 bonus for a helping die. Dr. Jensen could as well.
I'd say Dr. Jensen will just help try and push the door with Julian.
I like how now you're the muscle guy, so everyone just expects you to do the muscle guy thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I really thought you would want to. I mean, I did such a great job of navigating us here. I really thought you'd want to go, but it's fine.
I mean, I can
got
try
this.
it if you would
I
like.
do have mighty thews.
You do. It's true.
Hey, Dr. J, got a little knot, right? You think, is there anything do you think you could do anything about?
Oh, I have just the thing. And Dr. Jensen, I'm assuming his medical bag is shrunk down with him.
Yep, it's also tiny.
Opens it up and pulls out a bone saw.
I really thought you were just about to punch him in the shoulder.
I did too. I got just the thing.
Oh yeah, no, I got just the thing. Bam! It's called a Hertz donut.
I reach in the bag, I pull out a bird. No, not that kind of bird. The bird. Yeah, I'll go ahead and make the test. So this is force?
Yep, and take a +2 bonus from your 2 allies helping you.
All right, so that's +2, but -1 because I'm so exhausted from climbing.
This could be a great time to spend your mighty thews.
So what does my... tell me, GM,
yeah.
What does mighty thews do?
That is an advantage. You can, once per mystery, use that for a +2 bonus.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. Probably need to get the door open. Unless Dr. J can saw it open.
Or I could perhaps cheese it open.
I'm all for the cheesing it open.
No. Okay. So yeah, sure. I will go ahead and use my mighty thews.
All right.
While the advantage goes away, my mighty thews do not.
At the way you've been rolling, you might get another advantage.
So, okay. So that's a base of 7 dice. -1 is 6. +2 is 8. +2 is 10. Okay. So 10 dice.
Mm-hmm.
2 successes on 10 dice.
Mm-hmm. All right. Julian heaves with his mighty thews. And with the assistance of Sofie and Dr. Jensen, manages to pull the door just enough that the 3 of you can slip inside.
I flex my success.
You see young Jeremy Hobbs currently sitting at his desk, enthusiastically reading. It is well past the point that he should have been making breakfast by now.
Is he normal sized?
He is. And Sofie, that's when it hits you. You recently loaned Jeremy A Study in Scarlet.
Shit.
And he is completely swept up in this book.
Relatable.
How are the 3 of you going to try and get his attention?
I'm gonna shoot him. I'm kidding.
Now that will hurt him.
I'm kidding. I'm not gonna shoot him.
I mean, I'll call out to him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll call out first, and then if that doesn't work, I will attempt to use the shotgun in his vicinity, not at him.
Mm-hmm. Can I get a manipulation test to try and get his attention?
All right, Dr. J, you've been waiting for this moment.
Shut up,
You've
Julian.
been preparing your whole life for
Shut up
this.
and roll the fucking dice, Julian.
Any of you could roll if you'd like to. Dr. Jensen could participate in this.
I'm going. 2 dice. 2
Oh,
dice.
we can each roll? Okay.
Yep.
I believe in you.
Well, both these dice add up to more than 6.
Again, that's not how this game works.
Then I don't understand. Then I clearly don't understand math. But
Nope.
2 dice and no successes.
4 dice, no successes. Come on, Magic Man.
Yeah, no, that's 4 successes on 9 dice.
Favoritism.
We really need a Samus stats.
In theory, I could pull these. Listener, Phoenix is adjusting his camera to point down at the dice to try and prove to the other players that no cheating is happening.
I don't believe he's cheating.
In
I
no
believe
way
he's
did I
cheating.
ever consider Phoenix cheating.
He's cheating by having magic dice. He's
They
not
cheat
like
there.
Cheating
That-
by me having provided him
correct.
the dice of magical bullshittery.
We're upset that you provided only him with magic dice.
Gave all you motherfuckers magic dice. Remember that time our podcast evolved into interscene fighting? It's like the fucking golden apple I gave you all. Just some dice that say, to the fairest, roll the best.
I'd offer to roll different dice, but I just don't want to.
Ouch, ouch, ouch.
All right. Anyways, the room is briefly silent, and then Julian calls out in his beautiful singing voice that carries so well, and Jeremy picks his head up from his book. I thought I heard Julian for a moment. But wait, what? He squints down and lifts up the lamp he was reading by and holds it close to the ground. Oh my, you're all very tiny. Oh no, why are you tiny?
Oh, thank the gods you can at least see us. That's a plus. We're off to the right start, at least.
What has happened?
We don't know. We woke up this way.
I've just had one finger up ever since he said, "You're so tiny," and I'm kind of like,
Sofie will just reach over and just pull his arm down. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
How can I help you? What can I do?
Well, if you see any tiny creatures, tiny humanoid creatures that aren't us, don't let them kill us. Number 1.
Okay, got it. I'm on it.
Number 2, if you could perhaps take us to the library, so we could figure out what in the 9 hells is going on.
Take you to the library. Yeah, I can do that. Of course. And Jeremy sets his palm down. The 3 of you are able to hop into it, and he lifts you up and takes the small kerosene lamp that he had in the other hand and heads off for the library. Can I get a vigilance test from all of you?
Okay. Out of 6 dice, I have 3 successes.
Okay.
I have 1 success on 4 dice.
I have 1 success on 7 dice.
Listener, did you hear all that fucking bitching a minute ago from everybody?
I'm sorry, everybody?
Accusations flying around?
There was no complaining on my end.
It worked, listener. We bitched and bitched. We finally got good successes.
All right, that's the wrong lesson to take from this. Oh God, what have I done?
Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Squeaky wheel gets the kick.
Oh my God, I only got 1 success. These dice are betraying me.
So, the 3 of you, each, independently, with your very good vigilance, managed to spot something. You are on the lookout as Jeremy is carrying you, hurrying about the library, heading downstairs, around corners, and you spot something in the shadows, watching you with gold, reflective eyes. Unfortunately, the library has had a little bit of a problem lately with mice, and so has brought in a number of cats. And a large, black cat is watching you with great interest as Jeremy hustles by. And you see it slink from shadow to shadowy hallway, pacing after you and continuing to follow Jeremy as he takes you to the library.
Can I roll something to see if he's following because we're tiny and he's the cat? Or because we specifically are of particular interest to him?
I will actually just give you this one for free. This is a cat you've seen in the library a few times. Yortz has tried to befriend it, but it's mean.
Oh, that's not very nice.
This one is a working cat. It is a little cantankerous.
How dare you insinuate that yours doesn't work?
I mean...
You know...
He's doing his best. How dare you?
Yortz is a different kind of job.
Yeah. A clown is a job too.
Emotional support orange cat is his job.
I see nothing wrong with this.
Mm-hmm. Mousing is not his job.
I don't think the cat will be able to hear me, but I will call out to the cat, who I have decided is definitely named Spooky.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay, Spooky. It's just us. We're not mice. Go find another mouse. Not that we're mice. So not another mouse, but go find mice.
Actual mice.
And you see that Spooky is watching you very, very intently. And occasionally trying to slip in between Jeremy's legs to trip him.
Jeremy, when we get to the library, can you keep the cat outside?
Oh yeah, of course. Oh, Spooky, no. Oh gosh. Oh yeah, here, we're almost there. Let me just get you in. I will let Agda know what's going on, and I will deal with the cat situation. And Jeremy opens up the door to the library. He sets the three of you down on a book, and then you hear a yowling meow from Spooky, followed by a thunderous bark from Thorn.
Yay! Thorn's gonna save us.
And Jeremy is suddenly scrambling around the library, trying to catch this cat. And the trio of them go tearing out the door. Spooky the cat, chased by Thorn the dog, chased by Jeremy the butler.
Very good.
That's not quite what I had in mind, but I guess I'll take it.
Has Yakety Sax been written at this point?
Not yet, but it should have been for this moment.
Got it. I pull out my violin thinking there's something I should be playing, and I can't quite get there.
There's a low creaking noise as old Agda wheels her chair over, staring at the three of you on this open book with her one good eye.
Eh? You all got very small.
I assure you, it was an accident, Agda. We didn't do it on purpose.
I don't imagine that you did it at all.
That's correct.
Bet you want to not be tiny, huh?
More than anything.
That would be magnificent. Do you know what's going on here?
Well, I suppose I have some books that might help us. Let me start getting a few down.
Oh, while you're searching, I don't suppose you happen to have anything on a bastard prince by any chance?
No bastard princes that I know, but I'll look through the stacks. Let me just close the doors so the dog and the cat and probably Jeremy don't get back in.
You're wonderful, Agda. I'd give you a kiss except for, well...
You're not allowed. The last time you saw me, you told me to move my ass.
Well...
I wasn't going to bring it up. But...
Yes, ma'am.
Damn right.
She shuts the door and begins getting some books down.
I like to imagine that Agda has like the steampunk version of one of those grabby handle things. And that's how she gets the books off the top shelves.
Absolutely the case.
Yeah.
And she pulls down quite a number of books for you. The three of you help kind of push through some pages. She helps open some things up for you, rotate some things through some book turners, and you are able to easily find some information.
Ooh.
You can tell with great certainty, based on the descriptions that you found of that creature from your dreams, what it is. You have somehow upset a Vatir. Vatir are some of the smallest and most common Vasim. They are a little like house spirits or house elves. They can become offended, and if they do, will go to great lengths to get their revenge. You find several dark stories of Vatir cutting someone's throat in their sleep, or spreading plagues, or burning down buildings.
Do these stories clarify what these people did to deserve such a punishment?
They do. The single most common thing that you find are Vatir can become upset about changes made to their farmsteads or homes if they were not consulted about them first. This can disturb and upset them, although a gift might help mollify them if they become offended.
So...
if you'd like to know more, you'll need to make a learning test.
One or all of us?
This will be just one of you.
Very well. I'll do it.
Aaron is physically writing notes and can't stop you right now.
You do what you want.
I was not intending to roll this
Okay.
one. I mean, I'll do it if you want me to.
Aaron, would you like to make a learning test?
I would, as a matter of fact.
You will get a +2 bonus from being in the library.
Hey!
I'll help.
So this is one that you unfortunately cannot take the helping action on, since only one PC can make this test.
Okay, so I have 10 dice. Let's see what happens with my 10 dice.
You could also use your advantage on this if you wanted to.
I could also save it and then push it and use the advantage.
Mm-hmm.
If I have to.
I might be willing to let you roll retroactively if you need to, with that advantage.
Okay. Alright. That is 1 success. 10 dice. 10.
All right.
10 dice. If I was Phoenix, I would have got 6 successes. Anyway.
That is enough for some information, although if you want to, you could push the roll.
I'm gonna push it.
All right. Did you want to use your advantage or nah?
Yeah, I'll use it.
Okay.
I'm gonna use my curse dice.
Very well.
Called it, Brian.
No, I'm not resorting to the curse dice. I'm using them to prove a point.
Mm-hmm. Feel free to roll 2 more dice for your advantage. Curse dice, I deign to let these be a success.
Right. Holy shit.
Called it.
What'd you get, Aaron?
What the hell, Brian?
Is this a Yahtzee?
He is a generous
Okay,
god.
so far on 6 of the 12, I got 3. And that's another 1. So 4 successes on 12 dice.
Specifically 4 successes on 12 curse dice.
12 curse dice. And guess what, folks? I'm fucking angry.
You know, I'd just like to point out every mystery, Sofie comes to this library and gets mad at it.
I mean, as a writer, getting mad at words is kind of
On
par
brand.
for the course, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And as an academic as well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, so Aaron and Sofie have a good excuse.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you learn everything there is to know about these creatures. You are certain that they are Vatir. Vatir can speak to small animals and even transform into them. Vatir can be hurt or even killed by physical harm. They can help humans who are kind to them or punish humans who offend them. They can lay curses down on a person who harms them, and they may even burn down a human dwelling. But if treated with respect and offered gifts, especially food like fine wine or cheeses, Vatir can leave gifts of golden leaves or even magic objects. Speaking of, a magical object would explain how the Vatir shrank all of you.
Does Agda just happen to have any of the cheese that I have recently gifted her? Or has she eaten it all?
Oh, no. I found that We were starting to see some rats in the library. Well, we couldn't have that, so the cheese is over in the kitchen now. I just go over that way to go get some when Thorn or I want it.
You said gifts of cheese or what? You had me
Fine
at
wines.
cheese, so fine wine. Well, we have both of those things then.
Yeah, I see Dr. J holding up his flask, and I slowly lower his hand.
Dr. Jensen unscrews the flask and takes a sip anyway. I don't care if you say if it needs to be fine wines. A fine bourbon can do just as well.
Yeah, well, he's not wrong. But I mean, I have some fine wines here, but they're also tiny. I don't know if this will be enough, or if I should. And I very quietly say to the group of you, and taking, even though we're tiny and she's mostly deaf, but I try to make sure that Agda does not hear me saying, or I could tell Agda to move her ass and go, pick up some wine from the sporting house.
Please don't do that. We could steal some from Matthias's stash. He's always got something good in his office. In his what? Why did I say it like that? In his office.
If you were to try and find your best supply of food, though, it would probably be in the kitchens.
Yes, I just meant the wine.
Mm-hmm.
That he's usually got some good liquor
port,
and
some brandy.
Port,
Yep.
right. Mm-hmm. So I suppose we should how should we communicate? Do you think that that Spooky is perhaps one of the Vatir?
I have no idea, but I'm assuming we disturbed them when we were building the infirmary and discovered the cellar.
Yes, quite.
Should we go search in those areas to see if we can find where they might be?
I think we should prepare a gift first, right?
Well, we need to be able to find where they are, I think. But I hesitate to ask this in just the sheer ridiculousness that it sounds, but does Yortz have any idea about where these things might be or exist? You said that they frequently communicate with smaller animals and creatures.
Does he?
Not as far as you are aware. He hasn't been particularly sneezy or indicating that there are supernatural things around, nor has he been sneezy around Spooky the cat.
Okay.
He wasn't sneezy when we heard the voices, though, either, was he?
A little sniffly.
Okay.
I don't think, regardless of how we find them, I don't think we should approach them without having our gift prepared.
Well, doesn't Julian have a bottle of fine liquor?
I normally try to bring a bottle of Cristal, but hopefully Dom will be sufficient.
I will jump in here. You have enough that you might be able to offer 1 or 2 people as a gift. If you were trying to make amends to a community, you probably don't have enough for that.
We need a human-sized bottle of wine.
Or at least like an airplane-sized modern-day amount. Like one of those little like travel bottles.
Okay. So like a teacup full would probably do it.
Mm-hmm. You might be able to find that in Matthias's office. You might be able to find that in the kitchens. You got some options. Where do y'all want to go?
Can Agda try to call Jeremy again for us?
Well, but Agda already left, didn't she?
No, she's still there.
Oh,
she's in the library with you.
Oh, I thought she left for the kitchen already. Then I would say if she could take us with her to the kitchen.
Oh, we'd finally get to ride in her fancy chair, which will never, ever, ever happen again. It may not happen right now. Agda,
Yes?
do you think you could take us to the kitchens? Would you mind letting us hitch a ride with you, so to speak?
She seems to think about it for a minute.
If there are strange things afoot, I should be here in the library.
That's understandable. Might you be able to yell for Jeremy for us so that he can come back and transport us downstairs?
That I can do. Although we'll see where he is.
She calls several times for Jeremy, and you hear loud crashing from various points in the house. So you are not sure he is able to come help you.
It's like a cartoon cutaway or whatever.
Is it an option to just wait until he comes back?
You don't know how long that's going to be.
Well,
Who else might be here that we could rely on? It will take us too long to get there by ourselves. Unless we take the dumbwaiter down. Agda,
Yes?
is there a dumbwaiter accessible from the library?
There's one not far in the hall.
Do you think the Vatir will eat us if we go into the dumbwaiter?
No. You're too much the same size for them to try and eat you.
Well, I mean, are they going to attack us and carry us off to their village?
No, probably not.
Probably seems like decent odds, right? Let's take the dumbwaiter.
I'm so excited about this idea. I had you guys, we gotta do it.
I didn't even remember there was a dumbwaiter.
Well, there is now, because I just
There
made
is
one up
now.
in this house.
Yeah.
as good idea as any, I suppose.
Mhm.
I mean, it seems like a normal thing that would be in a house this size back then, so.
Fun fact, the dumbwaiter was invented in 1887.
Oh, we are cutting edge in
You're
the
on the
library.
cutting edge.
Oh, yes.
All right, so can I get an investigation test from someone with a +2 bonus?
I've got 9 dice. What you guys want?
What I want is for you to believe in yourself, Sophie.
Is that including the 2 bonus?
Oh, no.
So you have 11.
Yeah, I have 11.
Let's say I have 9 with the 2 bonus.
You can do it. Go for it.
No, go ahead. Use your cat dice.
Or use them curse dice.
All right, Brian. Am
Mhm.
I allowed to roll good or not?
You're always allowed to roll.
Are my dice allowed to roll well for me this time?
I deign to allow it.
All right. Okay, so that's 2 successes on 11 dice.
There you go. Also, again, listener,
I just have to ask his permission first. That's what it is. That's what I've been doing wrong this whole time.
no, it's the dice that choose whether or not
Oh,
they feel like granting those successes.
I see.
I am merely the vessel that lets you know. So, the 3 of you, through use of the dumbwaiter, quickly get around the library, efficiently making your way into the kitchens. And
Can we take 2 seconds to just imagine? I mean, theater of the mind here. We're on a podcast. Can we take 2 seconds to imagine the reactions of the kitchen staff when the dumbwaiter comes down and they open it and there's 3 little dudes there?
remember, the kitchen staff is just Jeremy. You don't have any chefs
We
or
don't have
anything.
any separate kitchen staff besides Jeremy?
You haven't hired anyone.
How do we have a dumbwaiter in this house and we only have Jeremy? Like, the dumbwaiter is more useful than him. Anyway, okay, sorry.
Ouch.
Shots fired.
Man.
Sorry, Jeremy.
First Julian telling Agda to move her ass, and now criticisms
know.
of Jeremy.
That was
Man.
unfair. He's somewhat useful. It's true.
All right. The 3 of you make your way into the kitchens. The place is exceptionally well stocked, and you have a suspicion that Jeremy got underway with preparing breakfast, then got sidetracked by his book, and so got about halfway started, and then never did quite finish it.
Well, that means there's probably cheese lying out on the counter then, right?
There sure is. There's cheeses, there's ham, there's fruit. You see fresh baked bread, butter, hand-picked mushrooms, and you spot a form. Hunkered down behind the ham is what looks like a woman, about your size. She's dressed in what looks like a very simple, homespun gray dress with a few crumbs of cheese on it. Her dark hair is worn very loose, and she has a small conical hat. She looks over at you with a panicked gaze and holds a finger in front of her mouth, and then points over her shoulder. You look down the table, and you spot them. 3 large rats that are prowling along the edges, sniffing and looking hungry. But we'll get what happens next time.
Oh, Sofie, get that shotgun ready.
Oh, but I love rats. Oh no.
How about evil rats? Like the rats from Lady and the Tramp.
That's what these rats are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Evil rats. Evil Disney rats.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Spirits and Monsters of Old Seattle. Our theme song is Myths and Legends by Robert Bruckmeyer, which is playing right now. Our music is by Andreas Lundström, and you can hear more of his work on the Sweden Rolls podcast. Link in the show notes. Our editor is Hannah Cheney. If you're enjoying this show, please take 2 minutes to rate and leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get podcasts. I know every podcast says it, but it really does make a difference and helps us continue to grow the show. Finally, remember the motto of the library. Fear gives way to knowledge. Knowledge gives way to wisdom. And wisdom gives way to the truth. Until next time.